Ayan. So, magandang araw. Ang pag-aaralan natin ngayong araw ay Community and Population Ecology. Ito ang learning competency. So, ayan, the learners categorize the different biotic potential and environmental resistance, such as diseases, availability of food, and predators that affect population explosion. Ayan, ito yung kailangan nating mapag-aralan ngayong araw. So, hopefully, ma-achieve natin siya. Sige, simulan natin ang lesson. So, review muna tayo bago natin i-define yung community na word, okay? Baliktanaw muna tayo dun sa konsepto ng isang ecosystem. So, tandaan natin, ang isang ecosystem ay binubuo ng biotic and abiotic part or component o kaya naman living and non-living component. Ngayon, merong mga relationship yung abiotic and biotic component. Yun yung ecosystem na tinatawag natin. Now, imagine na yung mga biotic component, yung mga lahat ng living component ng isang ecosystem ay ibubukod natin, ihiwalay natin siya, at pag-aaralan natin tong mga biotic component na to. Ayan. Ito yung mga tinatawag natin na community. Okay? Ang isang community ay ang lahat ng biotic part ng isang ecosystem. Again, a community is the biotic part of an ecosystem. So, binubuo ang isang community ng lahat ng population ng isang species na nakatira and nag-interact sa isang ecosystem. So, kasama na dito yung mga relationship ng mga species na yun sa iba pang species. So, all organisms in an ecosystem are connected in one way or another. Ika nga. So, in fact, populations of different species generally interact in a complex web of relationships. Relationships between species and communities are important factors in natural selection and help shape the evolution of interacting species. Okay, so community ecology takes a look at the community defined as all populations that live in a given area. This includes all the different species in population. The focus here is usually on the interactions between the different species and how their numbers and sizes all mesh together and how change in one population change the dynamic of the whole community. So the animal populations here are exposed to more complex interactions given their increased species numbers, which gives rise to dynamics such as trophic relationship. So kapag sinabi natin trophic relationship, who eats who? Ayan, anong organism ang nag-consume ng ganitong organism? Ayan, space dynamics. Saan makikita yung mga organism na to? Kapag nakita mo yung organism na to, usually makikita mo din yung another pang organism na malapit sa kanya. Okay, migration patterns or yung movements na tinatawag natin. Ano pa? And most important ecological driving force when it comes to inter and intraspecies interaction. So, ayan. Interspecies interaction, species of different organisms of different species, how do they interact? And pag sinabi naman natin intra, organisms of the same species, ayan, kung paano sila mag-interact. Okay? So at least na-clear na natin yung pagkakaiba ng inter and intra. Inter, different species. Intra, same species. Okay? Ayan, as I've said a while ago, ecosystem is composed of the biotic and the abiotic component. A community is all the biotic component of an ecosystem. And community is composed of population of different species. Okay? So, now let us define what is a population. A population is a group of interbreeding organisms found in the same place and at the same time. Today, much of the concepts that you will learn is about population ecology. But first, let's talk about what is population ecology. Okay, population ecology, as stated here in the slide, is the study of the processes that affect the distribution and abundance of animal and plant population. So, actually, it's more than that. It's not just animal and plant populations, actually. So we also talk about funguses, bacteria, and other strata or taxa of uh, different organisms. Okay? So i-clear lang natin yung definition dito sa slide na ginamit ko. Now, population ecology is the next rank on the ecological ladder. So, population ecology focuses on the population defined as a group of organisms of the same species living in the same area at the same time. Here, attention is given to things such as population size, population density, structure of the population, migration patterns, and the interaction between organisms of the same population. It tries to explain the different changes in each of the dynamics of the population, such as why numbers would increase and whether this affects any other aspects of the population, such as its density. So, yun nga. So, ano-ano ba yung mga factors na makaka-apekto sa isang population para mag-increase yung number niya, mag-decrease yung number niya, okay? Or magkaroon ng madaming birth rate, madaming mamatay sa isang population, magkaroon ng rapid movement, migration, immigration sa isang population. So, yun yung pinag-aaralan sa population ecology. Okay, pero kung babalikan natin yung learning competency, ayan, ang pag-aaralan talaga natin ngayong araw ay yung biotic potential at yung tinatawag na environmental resistance. So, wag na tayong mag-focus pa dun sa iba-ibang prerequisites or other factors that affect the population. Diretso na tayo dun sa biotic potential. So, ano nga ba ang isang biotic potential? So, here in this slide, it is defined as the maximum reproductive capacity of an organism under optimum environmental conditions. Okay, emphasize natin yung maximum reproductive capacity na tinatawag natin. Okay, sometimes biotic potential is also defined as the ability of a population to double itself or magkaroon ng dobleng bilang ng population. Ayan. So, that is the maximum reproductive capacity of an organism. The time it requires for a population to double its size. So, kapag pinag-uusapan natin ang biotic potential, kailangan din natin tandaan itong under optimum environmental conditions. Ano ba yung under optimum environmental conditions na tinatawag dito sa definition na to? So, imagine an ideal environment. Think of an ideal environment for an organism. Merong sapat na pagkain. Ayan, merong sapat na makakain yung organism. Okay? Ano pa ba? Merong sapat na space para dun sa organism na yun. Walang mga diseases para sa organisms na yun. So, yan. So, these are ideal environmental conditions. Tinatawag natin. So, diba? Too good to be true. Ayan. So, hindi may iwasan na meron talagang mga ganitong bagay sa totoong buhay. Merong predator, merong diseases, at hindi sasapat yung pagkain and yung space na para lang sa isang specific na organism. Okay? Yun yung tinatawag naman natin na environmental resistance. Okay. Yung environmental resistance or limiting factors, sila yung hindrance para ma-achieve yung biotic potential or ma-achieve yung pagdoble ng population ng isang given species. Okay? Tinatawag din silang limiting factors. Okay? Tandaan natin. Environmental resistance is also referred as limiting factors. So, these limiting factors are environmental influences that constrain the productivity of the organisms, populations, or communities, and thereby prevent them from achieving their full biological potential, which could be realized under optimal conditions. Okay? So, limiting factors can be single elements or a group of related factors. Ayan. So, these are environmental pressures that hinders a population to achieve its biotic potential na tinatawag natin. Okay. Ayan. Meron tayong tinatawag na biotic and abiotic environmental resistance. Pero una muna nating pag-usapan ang mga biotic environmental resistance. So, unang-una sa lahat, yung predation. Then, so the one is being eaten by the predator, and the one who is being eaten is the prey. So, the predator-prey relationship. So, di ba? Kapag madaming food sources, ayan, beneficial para sa predator. Ayan. Kapag konti naman ang predator, mas dadami yung population ng supposed prey nila. 'Di ba? Meron namang diseases. Ayan. So, hindi may iwasan na sa isang population magkaroon ng sakit para dun sa isang animal na pinag-aaralan natin. Halimbawa, sa baboy, di ba? Swine flu. So, meron siyang direct, indirect effect sa ibang consumers. For example, sa tao, di ba? So, ayan. Competition. So, sa isang community, or sa isang population rather, hindi rin may iwasan na magkaroon ng competition. Okay? So, later pag-usapan natin isa-isa yung mga bagay na to. Okay? So, isa sa mga biotic factors ay ang symbiosis. At dito din natin makikita yung predation. So, isinali natin yung symbiosis kasi makikita natin yung interrelationship ng iba-ibang organisms dito. For example, mutualism. 'Di ba? So, merong benefit yung both organisms na nag-engage isang mutualism. So, dito sa example natin, isang flower at meron tayong isang honeybee. So, 'di ba? Yung mga nectar na nakukuha ng honeybee sa flower ay ginagamit nila para gumawa ng beehive. And yung beehive, dito nanganak ang queen bee, 'di ba? Dito nag-hatch ng egg. And at the same time, yung flower naman napopollinate. And kapag napollinate yung flower, magkakaroon ng production of seeds. Ayan. So, mag-increase yung population ng plant, mag-increase din yung population ng bee. So, that is mutualism. Then we have commensalism. One organism is neither harmed nor benefited, and the other one is receives benefit, rather. So, for example here, we have a shark and a pilot fish. Ayan. So, yung shark is the apex predator. Ayan. Kapag dumidikit sa kanya yung mga pilot fish, hindi naman nagkakaroon ng, hindi naman na-harm yung shark. Hindi naman siya nagkaka-receive ng benefit. Pero ano ba yung benefit na nakukuha ng pilot fish sa shark? So, since apex predator si shark, yung ibang fishes natatakot na lumapit sa kanya. Ang mga pilot fish, meron silang natural na predators na makikita dun sa ecosystem nila. Now, kapag lumapit yung mga pilot fish dito sa shark, matatakot yung predator na lumapit dun sa shark. Kasi nga, siya yung apex predator. Siya yung naghaharing predator dun sa ecosystem na yun. So, lahat ng ibang fishes na hindi kasama sa apex predator categorization, matatakot na lumapit sa shark. So, napoprotektahan yung mga pilot fish. Ayan, meron din tayong parasitism na tinatawag. So, notice that the caterpillar here, ayan, meron siyang mga maliliit na apids na naka-attach dito sa likod niya. So, itong apids na natawag natin, sinasak yung nourishment out of the caterpillar's body. So, that is parasitism. Okay, yung isa nagbe-benefit, yung isa nadadamage yung katawan. Okay, na-harm. Then, dito naman, meron tayong tinatawag na predation. So, sa predation, ayan, meron tayong predator, meron tayong prey. Yung predator, siya yung kumakain, and yung prey siya yung nakakain. Ayan. So, that is the gist of symbiosis. So, merong epekto yung mga relationships sa bilang ng population. Siyempre, kapag merong host, madami yung parasites. If hindi makahanap ng host yung parasites, mababawasan yung population nila. Okay. Kapag wala yung shark dun sa ecosystem, walang mapagtataguan yung mga pilot fish. So, madali silang makakain ng mga predator nila. Okay. So, yan. So, importante ang symbiosis sa isang ecosystem. Okay, pag-usapan naman natin ngayon ang predator-prey population dynamics. Ayan. Napapanatili ng predator at ng prey ang population nila na balanse. Okay. Yun yung dynamics ng dalawa. So, each population is a limiting factor on the other population. So, ayan. So, limiting factor ng kada isa, yung population ng bawat isa. Okay? So, yun yung tatandaan natin. This is shown in this graph. Okay? So, as the prey population increases, and there is more food for the predators. Siyempre, kapag merong mas madaming prey, madaming pagkain para sa predator. Therefore, after a slight lag time, and the predator population increases as well. Okay. Kung makikita nyo dito, meron tayong increase of population sa prey. Ngayon, meron lang tayong several time after ng increase na mag-increase din yung population ng prey, ay ng predator, rather. Kapag na-increase yung number ng predator, paunti-unting bababa yung population ng prey. Kasi nga, yung predator yung nagiging rason kung paano nakokontrol yung population. Kasi binabawasan ng predator yung number of prey. Ngayon, kapag nagkakaroon ng fluctuation sa food supply ng predator, bababa din yung number of predator. Ayan. And the cycle will goes on and on. Ayan. So, tataas na naman and eventually bababa na naman yung population ng prey. Susunod lang yung population ng predator. Okay, may slight time lag lang tayo na tinatawag. Okay? Ayan. As the number of predators increases, more prey are captured. Tandaan natin. As a result, the prey population starts to decrease. Then, as a fewer prey become available, the predator population declines as well. So, this type of interaction might continue indefinitely. Okay? So, tatandaan natin. Predator and prey keep their populations in check. Keep each other at balance. Okay? Okay, pag-usapan naman natin ngayon yung isa pang limiting factor. Okay? Biotic limiting factor. Okay? So, ito ay ang competition. So, ecological competition occurs when living organisms, including animals, plants, bacteria, and fungi need the same limited resources to thrive in their shared environment. So, let us emphasize here the limited resources. So, kada organismo may pangangailangan at hindi sasapat yung resources sa environment. So, hindi maiiwasan na magkakaroon ng gitgitan, magkakaroon ng competition para dun sa resources na yun. So, hindi talaga maiiwasan. At meron tayong dalawang uri ng competition. Okay, meron tayong tinatawag na intraspecific and interspecific. So, ano ba yung pagkakaiba nilang dalawa? Okay. So imagine this, okay? You are with a group of friends and huling pizza na. Huling slice na ng pizza. And lahat kayo merong interest dun sa huling slice ng pizza. Who gets the pizza? So ayan. So parang ganun lang din naman ang intraspecific competition. So ang intraspecific competition, it directly involves members of the same species. In this sense, we are all humans and we are competing for a single last remaining slice of pizza. Ayan. So, masyadong superficial yung example, but it illustrates the point, 'di ba? Aside from the last slice of pizza, and in real world, we are competing for uh, jobs, we are competing for resources, we are competing for living spaces. So, we are constantly pitted against each other. Ayan. Now, subukan naman nating tingnan yung intraspecific competition na nangyayari sa mga species, sa ibang species. Okay, take a look at these pictures. These are examples of intraspecific uh, competition. Okay, so this competitions revolves around uh, territory and breeding privileges. Okay, so here for example we have zebras. We have zebras and fighting each other and asserting their dominance within the pecking order of their group. And we have here uh, birds of paradise. I forgot the specific name. So, merong courtship ritual na ginagawa. In this case, it's dancing. So, pagandahan ng sayaw yung mga males para manligaw dun sa female. And para makapag-breed sila. Now, other species of birds of paradise, yung competition nila usually is pagandahan ng nest, pagandahan ng feathers, uh, pagandahan ng kanta, and pagalingan yung nangyayari dun sa male population para lang makuha yung matamis na oo ng female. So, parang ganun din lang naman sa humans. Ayan. Diba? Courtship, kung meron kayong rival. Okay? So, just to cite some example of parallels na nangyayari din naman sa human species. Okay? Okay, let's talk about interspecific competition. So, this is the second type of competition. Now, before we are talking about members of the same species, okay, competing for the same resources. But here, in interspecific competition, we are talking about members of different species. Sometimes there are three or more species involved in this competition. Now, take a look at the pictures presented to you in this slide. Now, crows, wolves, and vultures all compete for a fresh carcass. Okay, all of you know that vultures and crows are scavengers, but did you know that wolves also look for fresh carcasses? So, usually kapag wala silang nakahunt na moose or mga ibang animals around them. So, they instead settle for a dead animal na makikita nila. Okay? So, sila yung umuubos nung tira-tira. Okay? So, yun po. So, ayan. Nasa huling slide na tayo ng ating presentation. Pag-usapan natin ang abiotic environmental resistance. So, the name already suggests what it is. So, it's abiotic. These are non-living limiting factors that affect the biotic potential of a population. So, yan nga. So, ito yung mga non-living. So, magbigay tayo ng mga examples. So, the geography, ayan, of a location, kung saan makikita yung organism na yun. Ano pa ba? The acidity of the soil, the nourishment limited on that soil, sunlight, the temperature, the salinity of the water. Ayan. So, yan yung mga non-living factors. So, 'di ba? Kung pupunta ka sa masyadong malamig na lugar, syempre, grabe, it's a drastic change, 'di ba? So, wala kang makikita dyan na animals na nabubuhay sa tropical area. So, that's in itself is a limiting factor. Kung pupunta ka sa desierto, wala kang makikitang animals na nabubuhay usually sa Arctic. Okay, the location and the condition of the location itself is a limiting factor. Sa tropical regions naman, so wala kang makikitang organisms na nabubuhay sa Arctic and nagtatribe sa desert na makikita natin sa tropical regions. Okay. Kada location, kada geographic location, meron silang sari-sariling perks na nagdelimit ng population ng ibang species. Okay? So, yun yung tatandaan natin. So, ganun lang kasimple i-explain ang abiotic environmental resistance. So, it's a scratch in the surface, it's a dent, pero yun lamang. Okay? I'm only explaining the surface level of the abiotic environmental resistance to you. But if you are interested, I'll be posting additional links sa Google class natin about abiotic environmental resistance. What is important in our lesson for today are the biotic environmental resistance and the biotic potential concept. So that's all for today. Hopefully madami kayong natutuhan rather. So, ito na ang huling lesson para sa Earth and Life Science. Sana mataas ang makuha nyong score sa finals natin. So, sige, goodbye, and that's all for today.